Hey, thanks for coming out today. I'm State Representative Mike Foley from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm with Representative Denise Driehaus from D-Cincinnati, Representative Ted Celeste from Columbus, and Bill Faith from the Coalition on Housing and Homelessness in Ohio. The reason we're doing this press conference today is, as you know, last May, out of the House, we passed two foreclosure-related bills, House Bill 3 and House Bill 9. House Bill 3 dealt with a series of items that we felt would help our ability to deal with the foreclosure crisis in Ohio. They had a 6-month moratorium in it. They had licensing of servicers, increased the filing fee on all foreclosure filings, and those dollars were to be dedicated to do foreclosure counseling services in the state. House Bill 9 dealt with tenant protections and foreclosures. About a third of foreclosures, especially in the rural areas, deal with landlords and tenants that have no knowledge that their landlords being foreclosed on, so they dealt with kind of the ability for tenants to know when their landlords being foreclosed on, and some protections therein. In Ohio, in 2009, we had 89,000 foreclosures. It was the 3.8% increase over 2008 numbers, and the 14th year of record-breaking foreclosure numbers. 15.3% of all mortgages serviced in Ohio were either in foreclosure or at least 30 days past due in their payments. And nearly 1 in 6 Ohio homeowners were delinquent or already in foreclosure. The reason we're having this press conference today is that basically the Ohio Senate has done nothing. House Bill 9 was passed out of the House 328 days ago. House Bill 3 was passed out of the House 314 days ago. The Senate has had a couple of, they gave a sponsor testimony in January. They've had a couple meetings on our bills, a couple hearings on our bills, but there's been no interested party meetings. There have been no serious attempts to deal with the legislation and put together some kind of common theme coming out of the Senate to bring back over to the House for us to discuss. And so we are greatly disappointed in that. Some of us are very angry about that. And we are pushing, today's press conference is an attempt to push the Senate to really take on the foreclosure crisis and get a bill out of the Senate before they break for the summer. As you know, they are now not meeting. They are not meeting until after the May primaries. And it looks like they will break again at the end of May, early June. And so that gives the Senate about 3 weeks to deal with the foreclosure crisis in Ohio. And it is our hope, it is our intention to really push them to get meaningful foreclosure legislation out of the Senate and bring it back over to the House so that we can hopefully help us take care of many of the occurrences, stave off many of the foreclosures that are currently facing Ohioans. So I'm going to turn it over to Representative Denise Driehaus from Cincinnati, who's a co-sponsor in House Bill 3.
Thank you. I'm going to talk from the Hamilton County's perspective. Over 6,700 foreclosures were filed in 2009, just in Hamilton County alone. So that is a part of the 89,000 in 2009 that were filed throughout the state. And I want to talk a little bit about what this means to not only the borrower or the homeowner, but the rest of the property owners in the neighborhood where that foreclosure is taking place, because there are impacts for those people. If you live next to a home that's gone into foreclosure, your property value automatically goes down. So this is a problem not only for the person living in the home, but for the entire neighborhood. And back in 2008, when I was hitting 10,000 doors back in the 31st House District, everywhere I went, there were foreclosed homes, everywhere. And that problem has gotten worse, consecutively worse for 14 years in the state of Ohio. So we're suffering. We're suffering in the communities, we're suffering in Hamilton County, and it's spreading now into the outer neighborhoods, into the suburbs, into the more rural areas. And so the impacts are great for everyone. So while I think this started as a more urban issue, and some of us were just more acutely aware of some of its impacts, it is now spread to every part of the state. And we're desperate to have the Senate take action on this so that we can move something forward for the citizens of the state of Ohio. Bill Faith is going to talk a little bit about the impacts of the federal legislation to what's happening here in Ohio. But I want to touch very briefly called for in House Bill 3. And if we were to take this time out now, it would have been impactful back when we introduced the legislation to pass it out of the House. But now we've got federal dollars coming in as of last week. Now would be a great time to call a timeout and let the homeowners take advantage of those federal dollars to help them stay in their homes. The other piece is about the foreclosure filing fee. Those dollars will go to groups that do counseling. If we can get a counselor involved with a homeowner, between the homeowner and the bank, we in Cincinnati have about a 70% workout rate. That's a tremendous rate of success for these groups that are doing the counseling. And so we want to afford them the opportunity to give them more resources and to do more of that work to save more homes. In addition to that, some of the money will go to remediate the blight that's in our communities. The city of Cincinnati is out of money as far as removing blight, tearing down homes, rehabbing buildings. We were out of money a long time ago. And so this bill calls for money to go to that purpose so that we can save our neighborhoods. So that's why we're anxious to get something done. Now is a good time, better now than never. So we're anxious for the Senate to move on the bill. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Ted Celeste.
Thank you, Denise. And I called on Salvador Dali to help make the point this morning. If you can't tell, I've got his painting called Time Warp as my tie today. And we're in a time warp. As the two of them have pointed out, this legislation was passed quite a while ago. And individuals are being thrown out of their houses every week. As a matter of fact, I had a call last week here locally. It was one of those calls, frankly, that got me interested in this from a constituent who got a notice that they were going to have to leave their home, a renter, had no knowledge of the foreclosure process, and as a result, I got together with Representative Foley to do the Renters Protection Act. And this act is pretty basic. It's to help protect those people who, through no fault of their own, are being thrown into this foreclosure crisis. And they, as has been pointed out, they represent about a third of the foreclosures that are going on in the state of Ohio. And they're going on right now, and people are being forced out of their homes. And we feel that it is time that the legislation gets some activity in the Senate. Let me just mention three things that specifically that the House Bill 9 does. It requires landlords to notify potential and current tenants in a timely manner if the property they are renting out is currently in foreclosure or goes into foreclosure. Requiring landlords to notify tenants if a foreclosure is not remedied and a sheriff's sale date is set 21-day notice before sale date. This gives the tenant an equal opportunity to bid on the property at the sheriff's sale. And requiring that all residential rental agreements convert to a month-to-month lease upon court approval of the sale of the property. This allows the renter at least 30 days to find a new home, compared to the current law, which only gives 3 days notice before